Morning, welcome to the Amputee Diaries. Today this video is about me and just to give you guys an idea of what I've gone through. Beautiful morning in the UK today, and this week's also been Valentine's week, so if you've had a great Valentine's Day, great, but for the rest of us, hope you had a great Thursday. And yeah, so next sort of 10 minutes or so, this will be about my journey as an amputee and how we can, or how I can help you move forward. Roll the credits. Okay, so welcome back. So today, like I just said before the credits, is about me, my journey. Got my sunglasses on because it's a gorgeous day in the UK today. So I originally had a motorbike accident, early 90s, and thought I could be really clever and try and overtake some lorries. Didn't work out quite well at all for me, and yeah, I was in hospital for about 3 months, 4 months interaction. Did various injuries to my body. Dislocated both shoulders, snapped and dislocated my left hip, or snapped it off. Snapped my left leg in half, and as it found out, did knackered my 5th and 6th vertebrae in my neck. So I did a very good job, and that sort of changed me as a person. I was quite an introvert person up to that point, and then I realised that I was different and I had to change. But to cut a long story short, the technology wasn't great early 90s for leg amputations, and the NHS didn't want to cut it off, which they wouldn't. So they gave me an arthrodesis. So that means that they made my left leg rigid. They put a bar with 12 screws in it. I had 2 screws in my hip and 2 screws in my shoulder as well. So for a good 10 years, 12 years, I had to make do with walking, I don't know what the word is for it, like an idiot. So therefore this was not good for my good hip. So my left hip, okay, I've got screws in it, but for my good hip it wasn't, because I was walking like that. I've been campaigning to have it cut off, the leg, and they wouldn't do it because they said there's nothing wrong with it. And then coming up to 13 years ago, I got septicemia, or sepsis, or whatever they call it now. And I felt pretty crap on leading up to a weekend, and I said to my then missus, or my wife, whatever you want to call her, she comes up to various names, that if I felt crap on the Sunday, I would go up to the hospital and see how it goes. Woke up the next morning, felt completely horrible, and took myself up to A&E. They took some blood, and the next thing I know, there's people running down to me. I'm lying on a trolley because I couldn't do anything, and I was kept in hospital for 2 to 3 weeks, having domestos put in me to clean my blood out. At that point it kicks them in that there's an issue somewhere. I have an infection in my leg. So they took the bars and screws out and did various tests, nuclear test, which was quite weird, where they inject you with some nuclear or radioactive fluid that, so tasted metal in my mouth, and had to wash my hands every time, but digressing. Did lots of tests, couldn't figure it out, so they sent me to Queen's Hospital, Nottingham, UK, for a second opinion. Got there, the professor there was like, do you want to cut off? Yes please. We delayed it, or I delayed the amputation because my youngest was about to be born, and it was a lot of hassle and a lot of work. So during those 3 months I got mentally and physically fit, so I went up to my local NHS physio department, met the head physio, saying, right, what do I need to do to get ready for this amputation? So yeah, I met a few amputees, asked them anything from the rudest to the stupidest questions, okay? And for me, it needed to be done, so again, 3 months went by, smashed the gym, got physically fit, learned how to use crutches properly. Went in to have the amputation. I was in a day and a half, and then came out, and I was already ready, so I refused pain medication at the time because I thought I'd try and be a hero. So eventually, I got better, and then the process of going. So again, when I had the leg cut off, it changed me. I didn't know it at the time, but it changed me as a person. First thing I did was Google Paralympic sport. I'd done a lot of sport before I had my accident, and I googled Paralympic sport. London had just won the games in 2012. In fact, I emailed everyone at Paralympics GB and they came back these various things. Yeah, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? So I got invited to Talent ID Day at Loughborough University. Went to there and did various tests and stuff and what have you. Yeah, and I got invited back the next day to train with GB for sitting volleyball, which is mostly a disability version of standing volleyball. Exactly the same rules, just smaller court, same 6 players on the court, and yeah, my first go, I was sort of hooked with it. You know, when was that? 2007, so 89 to 11, 12. So yeah, next 5 years training for London 2012, which will go on in a later video about my journey to London and the games in for the Paralympics. It changed me quite a lot. Like I said earlier on, I knew what I wanted, and I just went full throttle for it. You know, I didn't care who was in the way, and I wanted to get to that point there, point A. How do I get there? What's the quickest? So that's the route I took, at great loss, as I will explain in future videos. So it was quite a tough time. I then got involved with a charity called Limb Power. Again, we're going to go to the Limb Power Games, and I met a lady called Kira, and it was the first at then Amputee Games. So we went with GB, and yeah, did the next 4 or 5 Amputee Games for Limb Power with GB, and then ended up doing Kilimanjaro with them in 2010. And yeah, that was an experience and a half. And then the year after that, did the London to Paris bike ride. I then thought I'd have a go at golf. I couldn't just go home and not do anything. Never played golf before in my life. And yeah, met a guy called Craig up in Birmingham, who worked for ISPS Honda. So what we then did, sort of played great courses, did quite a lot of pro-ams, very lucky indeed to play that. Got hooked on it, obviously, played golf left, right and centre every time I could, and eventually did my first season on the European Disabled Tour. I got to rank in 9th in Europe for my category, so I was playing with 2 legs at the time, a prosthetic. Craig and my other coach Dave have been trying to get me to go down to 1 leg, and so I took my prosthetic off and started playing on 1 leg. So all of a sudden I've got full manoeuvrability. Those that now play golf will understand what that means. I'm right-handed, but I haven't got a left leg, so yeah, you'll work that out. And then started overhitting everything because all of a sudden I got this power, and because I've worked hard in the gym, and my recovery rate needed more. I'm getting old, I'm getting on a bit now, so again, like the volleyball, trying to compete with 21, 22, 30-year-olds was never going to happen for me. I couldn't have the recovery. Trying to play 3 rounds in 3 days was just knackering out. What does the future hold for me? Who knows? Who knows what it holds for me? Working in the gym, doing this thing with you. I've got a couple of projects coming up with the NHS, which we'll vlog about, at a later time. You don't know what's around the corner. But for the moment, I'm just constantly keeping fit, keeping going. I mean, this seems really somber, this type thing, but it's just about me, and I'm not one for talking about me as such. And the people that are watching this that know me will probably laughing their head off, knowing you're always talking about yourself. But when I'm looking at talking to you out there, yeah, it's very difficult. So this is probably part 1 of about me, and then we'll go through part 2, part 3, whatever you want to on that later on. Now we'll talk about the legs that I've got. I've gone through various legs. And it's sort of a stage process going up, and as you'll learn as an amputee, you start off with a basic leg and then you'll go up. Now unless you're lucky enough to be part of the forces and lost your leg in combat or during the forces, then the money and everything's there for you, whereas you're a civilian like myself, then there's nothing there for you. You have to go into a queue and you have to wait for that. Single 6 years now, to trying to find a partner that will accept me for my leg, and that's a big thing that I've noticed, that all of a sudden you have this disability, okay, and they may accept it, but then you've got to think on the other side is they're going to get asked questions about you, so their friends, their family are going to ask the lady about it, so they might not out with it. I've been on quite a few dates, and one lady I went on, and we had a great time, it was brilliant, and then she texted the next day, said she couldn't cut me, that I've only got 1 leg. And she was honest. So it's a little difficult sometimes to find someone that will accept you for it. I met a couple of great ladies, and I messed it up massively. My commitment fear kicked in. So yeah, it's I don't have that now. That was my learning process. As me, as a, you know, like I said before, I don't class myself as disabled, but I have to admit that I am. And yeah, I can do everything normally, or do whatever, but you know, it comes to that intimacy, that time when you've got to take the leg off, park it in the corner, put it on charge. You know, how are they going to cope with that? So you've got all these various things that you've got to go through. As an amputee, it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. And like I said before, I won't lie to you. This is a complete candid series of Diaries of an Amputee. We'll go through other episodes of me. What's the word I'm looking for? Training. Is it the right word after I become an amputee? It's a process, and it's a long process. But believe me, it's worth the wait. Once you get there, once you get your, in a sense, final socket and leg, you know, it's amazing. But there are doors that open for you. Like I say, the Paralympics, disability sport. Yeah, it's how hungry you want it. I was very hungry. I still am very hungry with everything that I want to do. So thanks very much for listening to this episode of the Amputee Diaries. Subscribe here. That would be great. Thank you very much. Like and share. Please share it. Let's get more of it out there. If you've got any questions, as per normal, leave them in the comments below. I'll answer everything that you've got in there. Yeah. Once again, thank you, and see you next week. Bye.